Hello everybody and welcome to another tutorial in camera and lens repair. And this time will also be about just a little note about how you can adjust your lens if it's not on infinity. At least you can get it further out than it was. And it's about the in the Auto Chinon 1.4 55mm and for the M42. So let's see what we can do about it. And I think many lenses you buy on the internet, well, they might have a problem to reach the infinity, but it doesn't really have to be that hard to do and fix your lens. So let's have a look inside. This nice old lens is very cheap. I mean, I bought it cheap, but I think it's better than you maybe would think of. And it's especially if it's 1.4 lens. Now, we need some small tools, not very much. I mean, household tool could be doing a lot. I mean, I will just use a very pointy dentist tool, which is, I mean, you could use a needle or something else. And a tweezer, of course. It's very good to have a pointy tweezer. And then a 2.5mm flathead screwdriver, and of course a 1.2mm flathead screwdriver. This is an old lens, so yeah. And we also need some isopropyl alcohol, 99%, and a cotton bud. That's it. Let's do it. Now, to get into the lens is quite simple. You simply set it to near end, all the way up to here, near end. And there should be a set screw here on the side. There's actually 3. So, and we need to unscrew them. I mean, loosen them, just only. So, and it's actually very simple to do that. Since I already have been into it, it's already loose, so you can see. But if the screws, if the set screws was really stuck, we could do another thing and simply add a little isopropyl alcohol on the cotton bud here and make it soften the thread lock if they have used any, and do it with all the 3 screws and let it stay there for a little. Or you could just try do it very gently and simply loosen the screws a little if it was a little loose. I mean, try to loosen it. And at the same time, the isopropyl alcohol will come into the screw thread, and hopefully, sometimes you might use nail polish remover or acetone. So you can see this is quite loose at the moment, so it's not a problem. And then still have it on near end, because if you put it to infinity, it could damage the screws into the focusing ring, or you will make some scratch, which is not good. So have it here on the back, holding on the back here, and have a good grip on it, and then you should unscrew it counterclockwise, and then it's off. No, nothing special here. There's no need to take off the name ring. You can see inside here they have used a lot of thread lock to keep that ring on, which is sometimes can cause some problems. Now, you see the focusing ring is held in place by 4 screws, and like many older lenses, sometimes they sit with 1, 2, 3, 4, or they just sit with 3 screws. And when we loosen them, just loosen them. There's no idea to unscrew them fully. Before doing anything about that, it's necessary. It's your backup. And it's all work with lenses, old lenses. I think there's no service manual for this one. So you probably need to find your points and make some scratch. Since I have already been into the lens and take a look, it's good because then set the lens to infinity. That's the first thing to do. Now, next thing, before you change anything in here, you could also make a scratch up here. Here, no one will see it ever. Of course, if they take it apart, which is another story. So what you do is simply making a scratch in here, in line with the index mark here. So it is extremely important, not only on the brass here down here, but also on the focusing ring itself. So the 2 marks has to sit in line, and that is important. If you don't do it, well, you will just unscrew the 4 screws and take out the focusing ring, put it back in again, and you probably have changed the position of the brass helicoil here. And where is the correct, actually? Well, it can be difficult to find, to get back to the factory settings if it's so. Now, that's why the marks are so important, no matter what lens it is. But I will simply just unscrew it. Still, I will unscrew it. I still go away. It will be loosen it. Well, you see, just a few turn, not much. That's it. And we can just take the other down here. It's difficult to see at the same time as I film with my iPhone. And just do this here. And last one up here. Hope you can see it, what's going on. It's difficult for me to see at the same time. Come on. So now it's loose. So what do you do next? Sorry, I have a summer, in flu, not really in flu, but so it is. Now, what you do is you can change the position of the focusing ring. Maybe we have to loosen the screws even more to get the focusing ring loose. Could be. Sometimes the screws are a bit thick, so it will be a little difficult to do. Sometimes now it's loose, and then we can begin to change the focus ring itself, not the outer focus ring, but the brass helicoil in this case here. And then if I turn it, see, I have my infinity, then I can turn the focusing ring and lift up the focusing ring itself a little and move it, and then change the position. Now let's see what's happened. If I go back to the original setting, something like there. Now we can see how the front here, which will also be the lens assembly itself, how it will move. You see, if I go that way, if I go from infinity and to near end, it will come further out here. But we need to go the other way. So I set it to infinity again. Where is my infinity? Here. So there. Maybe it comes too far in. We can just have it an infinity there. Yeah, it was a little over. So something like that. So when I try to get the focusing assembly, I mean the lens assembly, go farther into the camera sensor, I need to change position of it. So if I lift the focusing ring a little, and no, I have to do it in a different way. Yeah, I have to lift it, see, and turn it slightly and push it into the focus assembly and turn the focusing ring. The lens assembly will come further into the body of the lens. And I can do it again until I cannot come any further. And it will probably, maybe, depends on the camera, come as closer to the sensor as possible. And then I can tighten it. I mean, you have to check with an object from far distance as possible. And that's why it, yeah, you probably will make it. Now, I will just put it back to normal again. So I press the focusing ring down and then lift it, set it back to infinity, and hopefully I'll reach my distance point here. Maybe not. It's difficult for me to see from my a little back there. But I hope you get the point, because that the important thing. It have to be a lot when you move the focusing ring and the focus helicoil. It's just slightly adjustment. But still, if you want the factory setting, remember the mark. That's the extremely important thing. If it's a cheap lens or it's an expensive lens, doesn't matter. So I can just screw it back into again and say that's all fine. And that was it. So you can see it's quite simple in this lens, but I mean, like many other lenses, like Minolta lenses, and some, yeah, Super Takumas, and so it's also an easy thing to do. Now, set it to near end again, and then you can put on the front name ring, and going a little backward to catch the thread here, and then screw it on. Then tighten all 3 screws, which is, that's it, and they are finally there. So the lenses are back to normal again. And remember to screw it all the way in. They doesn't have to stick out anyway, because if you turn the focusing ring to infinity, it will probably get stuck on the focusing ring if they stick out a little. Hope it makes sense. So that's all for me. Hope you can use this little info video. So see you sooner. Bye bye.